Caitlin Clark says, how do you say bang in Portuguese? It don't matter! Bang! For a preseason game, they flew up from Brazil, lost by 64, and got to make TikToks with Caitlin Clark after the game. Where do I sign up? Bang! Not sure why they played the game in Iowa, because Caitlin Clark, she was still shooting the shot from South America, baby! Bang!
Caitlin Clark was left speechless. And for once, it wasn't because she pulled up from a logo or broke another record. No, this time it wasn't her jaw-dropping range that had the crowd buzzing. It was what happened after the game. In a moment that stunned the basketball world, the entire Brazilian national team, players and coaching staff, lined up to meet Clark, jerseys in hand, ready to be signed. She had just finished torching them in a preseason game, and now they were treating her like a rock star. They didn't just want her autograph. They wanted to be a part of her history. Players from the opposing team stood patiently, excitedly, in line like superfans at a meet and greet. Clark smiled, signed, took selfies, and left everyone around her wondering, did that really just happen? It wasn't just a spectacle. It was a sincerity, the reverence. This wasn't a championship. It wasn't a Final Four game or an Olympic match. This was a WNBA preseason exhibition, and yet the magnitude of Caitlin Clark's presence turned it into a moment that will echo across sports history. Brazil, a nation captivated by a Midwestern guard. Let's stop for a second and appreciate the gravity of that. Brazil, home of soccer gods, Olympic legends, and a culture that lives and breathes athletic greatness, was left starstruck by a 22-year-old guard from Iowa. Their head coach, a man with decades of basketball knowledge under his belt, reacted like he had seen something mythical. His tone wasn't just admiration, it was reverence. He spoke of Clark as though she had descended from Olympus to grace the game with her presence. He didn't just toss out a compliment. He canonized her. This wasn't casual praise. This was basketball gospel. On-court greatness, signed in ink. Brazil's defense had no answer. They tried switching, trapping, double-teaming, throwing everything they had at Clark. Nothing worked. She navigated all like a seasoned chess master. Her passing was clinical. Her shot release was poetic. Her poise under pressure was something you just can't teach. And still, it wasn't just a stat sheet that won people over. It was a respect she commanded. Even after physical defense, after players had tried to knock her off her game, they gathered around her like she was a living legend. She had earned their admiration not just with her skills, but with her composure, her leadership, and her grace. Clark wasn't just playing basketball. She was making history in real time. Meanwhile, Angel Reese was somewhere else. And while this was happening, one couldn't help but notice who wasn't being mobbed post-game. Angel Reese. Reese, Clark's frequent on-court rival and online counterpart, had played against Brazil just days before. There were no jersey signings. No selfie lines. No gushing praise from the opposing coach. No player starstruck by her presence. Reese is outspoken. She demands attention. But Clark? She commands it without saying a word. It's not hard to see the difference. Reese chases the headlines. Clark becomes the headline. While Reese blocks fans and drops vague subtweets, Clark is out here uniting continents through basketball. One is asking for respect. The other is getting it in spades. 18 minutes. 42 points of impact. Caitlin Clark only played 18 minutes in that game. Less than the length of a sitcom episode. And yet in that time, she scored 16 points, grabbed 6 rebounds, dished out 5 assists, and recorded a jaw-dropping plus 42 plus minus. Yes, you read that right. In just 18 minutes on the floor, her team outscored Brazil by 42 points with her in the game. That isn't just impact, that's nuclear. Most players need 40 minutes to make their mark. Caitlin Clark only needs a moment. And when she gets it, she turns a whole game into a highlight reel. She didn't just win the game, she owned it. From the moment Clark stepped onto the court, you could feel the shift. The air changed. The arena leaned forward. And when she pulled up from deep, logo deep, the entire building erupted. She didn't perform for the camera. She didn't dance after buckets. She simply played brilliant basketball, as she always does. Every dribble, every pass, every read felt intentional, calculated, smooth, elegant. This wasn't flash for flash's sake. This was a basketball masterclass compressed into 18 minutes. And the best part? She made it look easy. Caitlin Clark, the global ambassador. Brazil didn't just see a basketball player that night. They saw a movement, a phenomenon, a generational force. And they wanted in. They wanted to remember the night they were on the same court. The night Caitlin Clark hit a step-back three. So ridiculous their coach questioned the laws of physics. The night their own team danced on her logo pregame and then lined up postgame just to get her autograph. That's not just power. That's presence. While Reese tweets about being disrespected, Clark's being revered across oceans. And that, right there, is the gap, the humility of a legend in the making. What's perhaps most shocking is how Clark handles it all. There's no smugness, no condescension, no arrogance. She signed every jersey, took every photo, and smiled through it all like it was the most normal thing in the world. She showed the same level of class and calm off the court as she does on it. And that grace, asterisk that humility asterisk, is part of what makes her so magnetic. She's not trying to be the face of the league. She simply is. Reese is quoted as saying, "I'll look back in 20 years and be like, yeah, women's basketball is where it is not just because of one person." But she still refuses to say Clark's name. That's not empowerment. That's ego. Clark doesn't need to dunk on people online. She's busy dropping dimes on the court. She doesn't need to campaign for respect. She earns it. The difference couldn't be more obvious. And Brazil proved it on an international stage. Clark changes the atmosphere. Some players score. Others entertain. A few dominate. Caitlin Clark alters gravity. When she's on the floor, the game tilts toward her. Defenders stretch out of position. Teammates elevate their game. Coaches rethink their strategies. Even her misses seem to magnetize opportunity for others. Soft bounces off the rim become highlight putbacks. She doesn't chase stats. Stats chase her. Clark isn't just changing the game. She's changing the atmosphere of the entire sport. The signature heard around the world. One of the most viral images of the night wasn't even a shot. It was Clark, sharp in hand, signing the white, green, and yellow jerseys of the very players she just dominated. She wasn't just signing memorabilia. She was signing history. That wasn't a souvenir. That was a symbolic moment. A moment that said, we know what we just witnessed. The Brazilian coach had an existential crisis. After one of Clark's deep threes, the camera cut to Brazil's coach. You could almost see the gears in his brain grinding to a halt. Here was a man who'd coached for decades, seen legends come and go, taught countless players a game. And yet, in that moment, watching Clark operate, you could see it on his face. Have I been teaching this game wrong my whole life? Because Caitlin wasn't just breaking defensive schemes. She was breaking brains. Let's not forget, Clark didn't pad the stat sheet. She didn't hunt for numbers. She played with purpose. No heat checks. No ego shots. Just clean, calculated, high IQ hoops. And that's the difference between fame and greatness. Reese is a celebrity. Clark is an institution. The legacy is already underway. By the time the final buzzer sounded, Brazil wasn't walking off the court. They were floating. They'd been dunked on, crossed over, lit up from deep, and yet they left with smiles, selfies, and stories to tell. That's the Caitlin Clark effect. She doesn't just beat teams. She converts them. From Iowa to Sao Paulo, the message is clear. Caitlin Clark is not the future. She is the now. She's already shifted how we market, watch, and celebrate women's basketball. She's shattered old ideas about popularity, respect, and what it takes to move culture. While others are out here begging for attention, Clark has countries lining up to get to her. Conclusion: the present has a name. So what did we witness? We didn't just see a great performance. We saw a defining moment in sports. A moment where the crowd, the cameras, and even the opponents collectively agreed. Caitlin Elizabeth Clark is inevitable. And while Angel Reese may be campaigning for legacy points, Clark's already in the Hall of Fame of Hearts, Brazilian, American, and beyond. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell for more updates.